216 days. It has been exactly 7.101 months. That's 30.857 weeks, 5,184 hours, 311,040 minutes, or 18,662,400 seconds since I first told you a little story about a man named John. Let me tell you a story about a guy named John. And in that time, my little story about John of EMPEDC has been viewed 2,964 times. It may be more, depending on how many views it's gotten between me writing this and me actually posting it. And people have spent 200 hours of their time, 200 hours of their lives watching it. And in that same amount of time, John has been busy as well. He released his sophomore design, the Thick Boy, shortly after the Nymble, and now John of EMPEDC, in partnership with QSB Knives, is bringing us this. This is the production prototype EMPEDC Nymble X, otherwise known as the Nymble XL or the Nymble X 3.5 or any combination of the three. The point is, this beautiful titanium frame lock is the full-size version of the smash hit Nymble, and it's been an immensely anticipated release for 2022, and for me personally, it was and or is at the tippy top of my must-have knives of the year. Right away, the looks. I mean, the looks can pretty much be summed up as everything I loved about the Nymble, just bigger, and with some minor tweaks here and there. But this is a knife review channel, and time is money here on YouTube, so let me break it down for you. Closed up, this particular variant is adorned in this delicious frag pattern, and the scales have this stunning black-washed finish. The extremely minimal hardware, that is all T8 by the way, has been anodized with this flashy and classy bronze color, and for me the black and bronze go together like peas and carrots. We have the same yet slightly enlarged, subtle ergonomic sculpting along the bottom of the handles, and of course just a hint of that blade and those signature deployment slots peeking out along with the newly added fuller, taunting you, daring you to flip it open, which you will, over and over again until your fingers bleed. We also have the EMPEDC signature clip on the lock bar side, also in that high-class bronze color, and just like the original Nymble and the Thick Boy, this clip, it just works insanely well. It just makes carrying these knives a breeze and a pleasure to do. It's easy in and out of the pocket, and it leaves just enough knife sticking up to get a hold of without, ripping the ass out of your Dickies or your Wranglers. And of course, to matchy-matchy with all of the other hardware, we have this nice bronze backspacer covering the back quarter of the handle spine. All very familiar aesthetic points and pieces if you've ever seen or handled the original Nymble. It's all just bigger. Opening this particular Nymble X up reveals what can only be described as a shiny beacon of slicey and sparkly belt satin finished M390 bliss and pure majesty. This is probably the biggest change other than the size for the Nymble X. This is the new sheep's foot style blade shape, and it is the piece of this knife I've been drooling over the most since John first teased us with pictures on his Instagram, which, if you don't already, go follow EMPEDC on Instagram to stay up to date. And it is more along the lines of a spear's foot or a spear foot, maybe a sheep's point. I don't know what to call it. The point is, it is gorgeous, and it gives us a full 3 inches of cutting edge, along with the extra ½ inch for the full size and fully usable finger choil. We also have those previously mentioned signature deployment slots nestled within this full-length fuller, a nice shiny flat grind on that satin finished M390, and loads of jimping up along the blade spine. It's a stunner, and that profile opened up with this new blade shape it's just magnificent. I can't stop looking at it and taking pictures of it and holding it and caressing it and spooning with it in bed. I just can't stop, and I probably won't until John asks for his knife back. And by the way, this is not the only color option available. No, and this is not the only blade shape available. No. This is EMPEDC we're talking about, so for the February 19th pre-order, which is only 4 short days away, there will be 8 total variants available. Future me put pictures of the other variants on screen here. Technically, there are 4 distinct variants or colorways, each offered with the original spear point style blade, as well as the new sheep's foot blade. There is the black-washed Frag in bronze with the satin blade. There is the raw stone-washed Frag option with the matching stone-washed blade and hardware. There is the tactical yet classy reverse tuxedo Frag option with the black-washed blade. And finally, there is the tried-and-true smooth-handled raw stone-washed option with the blue hardware and a stone-washed blade. All of them look absolutely stunning, and I, for one, I've been struggling to decide which one to get for myself, or two. Decisions, you know? Being an adult's hard. Overall, the looks here are killer, which is no surprise, considering it's simply a souped-up and roided-out version of a knife I already love. Anyway, moving on to the ergos, and I have to tell you, this is the first ever Frag pattern handle knife I've ever had, for any extended period of time, and I love it. The Frag pattern on these is nice and grippy in the hand and in use, but it's also somehow soft and so gentle, like a warm embrace from an old friend. It just feels so right. The clip doesn't cause any kind of discomfort unless you're squeezing for dear life, and even then, it's barely noticeable in the palm. The subtle contoured lines along the bottom of the handle gently guides your fingers into place in pretty much any grip you can imagine. Choked back feels great, although you're a good long way from the cutting edge, but thanks to that perfectly finished forward finger choil, we can choke up nice and tight behind the edge for all of the control in the world. And of course, we have all of this grippy yet gently done jimping all along the blade spine, and because this is a full-size knife in every way, it should be a dream in any size set of mitts. Oh, it's excellent in the hands. Amazing ergos, no doubt about it. Now then, the blade. That beautiful belt satin finished an absolutely massive slab of M390 is not just a pretty face. With the sheep's foot shape, the blade is nice and tall, and I mean tall, which allows that nearly full flat grind to bring the hardy blade stock down to an insatiably thin final cutting edge. So it is just an insanely slicey piece, just as much as the original Nymble was. Whoever is running the grind department at QSP deserves a raise because they apparently can just do no wrong. And again, thanks to that sheep's foot shape, we get a decent amount of belly with the added functionality of that tip for draw cuts and utility cuts, and we get it all without sacrificing strength at the tip. I love it. I just love it, and it's an absolute destroyer of cardboard and junk mail, and it cuts as good as it looks. Such a great blade. And finally, what you've all been waiting for, the action. The name says it all, really. Just like the original Nymble, the Nymble X here has about 1 million modes of actuation, and just like before, that big heavy blade is running on a set of silky smooth ceramic bearings. And yet again, just like the little Nymble before, they have somehow absolutely nailed the detent for pretty much every opening method ever. Even with the added weight in the blade, which is not an easy thing to do. Reverse flicks and thumb flicks are so easy, a newborn could pull it off. And they're both insanely snappy and satisfying. The deployment slots, along with the added fuller, let you put your thumb or finger pretty much anywhere along the length of the blade, and you can flick it open. It doesn't matter where you put it. And then, when you want to mix things up, we have this nicely jimped flipper tab at the back, and yet again, insanely snappy, endlessly enjoyable. Great detent for the back flipper. And if you're a top-tier fidget freak like me, we of course have that perfectly placed tab on the blade spine for front flipping. And all of it works so well. And on the close, lockbar access is excellent. And thanks to those ceramic bearings and all of the weight in the blade, we get a smooth, sensual, and at times terrifying drop shut action. Sometimes just a tiny wiggle every once in a while on the close, but important note here, the bearings in the final model, this is a prototype, just a reminder, the bearings in the final model that you will receive will be bigger, silkier, smoother. So that means the action on the final knives that are delivered will be even better than this one, and I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that. It is an immensely impressive and endlessly satisfying action, and I just can't get enough of it. I cannot put this thing down. So where does all of this leave me with the new pumped up, beefed up EMPEDC Nymble X? No surprises here. I absolutely adore it. I pretty much adore everything about it. It's so much bigger than the original, but it still maintains all of the things I had originally fallen in love with. The looks, the lines, and the design language remains. There's just simply more of it everywhere. The new sheepsfoot style blade is just a perfect addition to the design, not to mention the fact that it is a sensually slicey performer, ready for pretty much any task that may come its way. The materials at play and the incredible build quality and fit and finish from QSP, it's top notch. The anodizing is clean, the frag pattern is incredible to look at and incredible to hold. The ergos are a dream for literally any sized hands. There are no sharp edges, no pinch points, no little problem areas. And then there is, of course, the action, which is just mind-blowing. As good as the original Nymble start to finish. And that is some really high praise coming from me. And then on top of all of that, there's the price. $299. That's it. John recently announced he was lowering the initial price for the first pre-order, and holy shit. Hell yeah. That's an insane amount of knife for under $300. Unbelievable value for money as far as I'm concerned. God, I don't know how he's doing it. The Nymble X is here, and yes, the hype is real. And in 4 short days, 96 hours, 5,760 minutes, or 345,600 seconds, you can all go get one. February 19th, don't miss it. Mark your calendars. I will be there. I will be there with you on the checkout page. And one final little tidbit for you before I have a hernia. Expected delivery of the pre-order knives is on track for May to June-ish of this year, so you really won't have to wait that long for your very own Nymble X. So until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye now. $299. I mean, how does he... $299. Like, what the hell is he doing? How does he do it? Who sold it? He sell it. Like, where did he sell his size?